What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100,000.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com. I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders like some of the founders you've heard of, some you've never heard of. You know, I have Jennifer and Freddy. I'm a remarkable story, and Freddy's gonna talk about a little about the businesses. But you know, I've had the founder of Baby Einstein on, Jennifer, Julie Clark, and you know, she grew Baby Einstein to $20 million with 5 employees and sold to Disney. But the most impressive part to me is when she was talking about beating cancer twice. You know, it's the stuff that bridges business and our personal lives together. The other thing I was going to say is Ed O'Keefe. Ed O'Keefe is the founder of Wake Up Foods. And personally, you know, I love their stuff at Wake Up Foods. Healthy, delicious Wake Up waffles. Check out the episode with Ed about time collapsing. And you have to talk, you have to read about time collapsing, because father of 7, grew up in a household of 13 children. Okay. 13 children, Jennifer. And he has done everything from sold over, $50 million in marketing systems for dentists, and started a supplement company with 7 kids. So it's amazing. Now, there's a reason, which you'll see in a second, why I talk about Ed and 7 kids, entrepreneurship, and Jennifer today. Before I tell you about it, this episode is brought to you by Rise 25. If you don't know about Rise 25, I won't go into it too much. Check it out. That's what we do. John and my business partner and I, we actually started it. We actually help people launch and run their own podcasts and make sure it gives to their best relationships. I've seen no better way to give to your best relationships than having your colleagues, your friends, your people on and, featuring their thought leadership. I do consider it, if you check out InspiredInsider.com, my about page, it's inspired by my grandfather, who was a Holocaust survivor, and his legacy lives on because someone did an interview with him. And so the full interview is there. And so when I have people like Jennifer and Freddy on, I do consider it, I'm helping them leave a legacy as well through this content. So thank you both for being here. And of course, I'm going to, give a special shout out. Thank you to Dean Dutro and Ryan O'Connor of Worth E-Commerce, because they introduced me to today's guest. Dean emailed me, Jennifer. He's like, you need to have Jennifer on. She's amazing. What she's done in her family life mixed with entrepreneurship is amazing. So thank you guys, Dean. You can check out their podcast, and I'm sure you could watch the interview with Jennifer there too, Relationship Commerce. Jennifer Adams Bunker is a serial entrepreneur, founder of Trukid, TruBaby, Fysick, TruBuddy, Velocity Source Group, and Fonopolis. And, with Jennifer is creating a business, she has one goal in mind, which is, it's a funny thing. I was like, is it to make money? No, it's to make life easier. She's got 6 kids and like so many businesses. Make life easier. And mom of 6, it's not always easy to balance an entrepreneur and a mom. It's not honestly, Jennifer, it's not even easy to balance one or the other, like just in itself, right? So she's grown Trukid to well over 7 figures. Her goal is for each of her 6 kids to own their own business. And you can go to trukid.com. It's TRUKID.com, where they have natural products for kids, skin creams that help soothe eczema, to sunscreen that's safe for eczema-prone skin, to, Mark Cuban, I remember, he always talks about on the Shark Tank that one of his kids or something has it. So if someone knows him, like maybe they'd like these products, Trukid. Body wash, much more. We have Freddy Bunkers here, who is the favorite kid right now because he has a company called HyperGo. And HyperGo is a full body wipe. So we'll talk about that a little bit too. Thanks both for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Ed, because my husband is one of 14 kids.
14. Wow.
Yeah. And, there how many nieces and nephews? 50?
There's like 51 first cousins, and it just gets bigger from there.
And 65 second cousins. So it's
what's Thanksgiving like? How big is Thanksgiving?
Well, like when they do like the family reunions, it's like sometimes they'll do a big like fairground, because that's
or a wedding. Weddings are big and they're fun.
So when you I don't know, when you first got married, when you're discussing kids early on, Jennifer, how many kids were you thinking you were going to have?
Oh, Jeremy, I wasn't going to get married or have kids.
Really? Why?
Like, I just didn't think it. I just thought, I was going to forge in the world my own. And I just didn't think I needed a guy to like support me. And I certainly didn't need kids because they cried and they were yelling, hard pass. And then I meet this guy, which first of all, I thought it was lying. Who has 13 sisters and brothers like that? And I would ask questions every which way to like ferret out his lie. Of course, he wasn't lying. And
he's like, name all their names. You can't even remember them all at that point.
I actually could remember. I can actually name them all. I can't, and I can name all the cousins almost. Yeah,
if you see them, maybe.
I gotta see. I just have to like process each family separately. And I can do it.
So you met him. So you go from not wanting to get married or have kids to extreme kids wise. What was it that convinced you?
We did it for like 8 years, so it literally took a while. I liked the big family atmosphere, and I really love his family, and he's super gregarious, right? But it wasn't about having 6 kids. He wanted 1 kid actually, because he's a big family, and it happens a lot where there's so many. He's one of the little ones.
They go the opposite.
Yeah, and so I'm like, so we have the 1, and like we need 2. We can't have just 1, right? So and then I don't know what happened. I like to say,
what happened between 2 and 6? I mean.
I guess I drank a lot.
Don't tell your kids that.
I do tell all the time.
But that's significant. I mean, I have 2 kids, and I'm like, oh my God, when they start outnumbering you, I can't even imagine. My business partner, John, he's got 4 kids under 9. And I'm like, listen, you did this you did this to yourself. I don't know. So that's wild. How do you balance it all now? Like how do you organize your day?
Well, it's been really fun because of all the home Zoom schooling on top of running a business, right? So, 18 months ago, I had an office for like 15, 20 years. And then 18 months ago, I pivoted to work from home for a lot of reasons, one of which is to like really hoard cash and run a different kind of business more digitally. And it's been great until everybody showed up, right? Zoom calls everywhere. And thankfully, they're all out of school as of today for you, right? It's like, because I've been an entrepreneur for so long, the kids know not to bug me, right? They just, they come bug me. We do their work, and then they go away again. We're just used to it, right, Freddy?
Yeah, we're just used to it.
Yeah, and I'm really used to chaos. I can work in a loud, noisy zone without any issue. So, the little baby pigs we have will oink, and then the dog barks at somebody, and I just can keep working.
What are some hacks you have to be more productive? Because some people, aren't doing a tenth of what you have to manage. Are there certain softwares you like, certain methods? What do you do? What's your tips for people to be more productive?
I wish I had a really good tip space, but I don't. I keep a lot in my head, which is bad. I fold a piece of paper in half and I write my notes down, honestly. I'm trying to get digitally on Trello and whatnot. I have Slack now, which is saving my life. I love Slack. Slack is like what works for me. It feeds to my phone. I can see it very specifically. I have a lot of channels, and I like it because I can see exactly what the topic is and get to it. So that helps a lot. Mm-hmm. My mindset is I have to get 3 important things done every day that move my business forward, and the rest of it is sort of white noise. I have to get to things, but they're not as important. Which is probably true. Like what are the 3 things that must get done, and those get done. Everything else sort of just happens at some point. Yeah. What's happening now, though, I notice is there's a lot more time during the day I'm not actually working, where if the kids are here, and then I tend to roll back at night. So I'm able to, I have the luxury of like dissecting my day.
That's good. I mean, you have 3 big rocks that you want to get done, so you don't let the outside distract you. What? Give me an example. What are 3 things maybe this week that you were really focused in on, or in the past? What would be an idea of that?
Well, the thing I'm always focused on is production, because that's sort of the hat that I wear. Is orders are placed, the supply chains are still active and working and not stopped up in some manner. That's super important. And the money, the finance part is rock 2. make sure I have enough cash to pay for things, make sure the books are right, sort of the third thing. And then the third thing that really important is our creative launch process, that we are we're making strides to get our products launched. That's sort of like, those are the three main buckets that I focus on mostly every day and every week.
Talk about starting Trukid. Which product did you start with, or products? What were the initial products?
Well, when I started Trukid, I had a sourcing business that I had been actively running for 20 years, where we'd help U.S. customers source and manufacture goods in Asia. So I'd help, U.S. brands, make their products dream come true, right? Because I'm very, very good at manufacturing. And, I've been doing it for years. And then I recognized that there was a gap in the kids space. All my kids were little. I think my oldest one might have been 12 maybe at the time. So I had, 6 kids, 12 and under. And I was just noticing some kids using my products, and it was stinging their face. I'm like, oh God, why should she use my product? This probably isn't the right product for you. So I started researching kids brands, and there really weren't any around at the time. There's a ton of baby products. And I thought, you know what? This is an opportunity to make a product that can service my family and, have a new niche. And I thought, I could be in the baby business, but babies are babies until they're 12 months, 24 months old, right? Then they're done being babies. But I thought, if I could have a family buy my products for 10 years or more, like, that's a real sustainable customer. So I thought the kids space would be more sustainable. So I hopped into the kids space with kids. And, there weren't products out there for kids. From babies, you would move to adult products. I thought that was really weird. So, I just saw an opportunity. Hopped in.
What were the initial products? What did you start with?
I started off with sunscreen and hair care, and bath. And that was sort of like, the sort of basic, repertoire bath products. And in the beginning, though, sunscreen was the product that sort of, was our anchor, because we had a product that was really natural, went on really well, highly rated, still is, all those things. And that was sort of our anchor product. And then we started building around it. And then what happened was we noticed that our customers were saying how we were serving their eczema needs, like kids with sensitive skin could use our product.
Because they were now natural.
Yeah, they're all natural, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't have all the chemicals in it. And, chemicals they can be really irritating on anyone's skin, let alone kids with sensitive skin. Or if you struggle with a rash or an eczema case, like, it's really hard. So I started listening, and we started pivoting away from just sort of general body care to eczema focused product.
Yeah. And because I noticed, like, it really sticks out. And, for one, when we look at sunscreen, there's a bunch of terrible chemicals in a lot of them. So we're always thinking, like, how do we not put junk? Because that stuff gets absorbed in the skin. Yeah. And I noticed, on yours, which is really unique, there's a logo on all of them, right? From the Eczema Association, I believe. Yeah. Right.
It was a process, right? We wanted to had whatever value we could add and associate with the Eczema Foundation, because it's like the good seal of approval, right? You look at it and you have a deep sense of trust. And we had
who's the gold standard in this, right?
Yeah, they are the gold standard. So we wanted to make sure that we aligned with that. And it took a lot of testing to get that approval on our products. So we're extremely proud of it. I think we have the largest offering of eczema products for kids,
I love it. And so from that initial launch, what was the next product you released, and how did you decide that? Was it a skin cream or?
Yeah, we added more eczema focused products, an eczema cream, an eczema wash. So like just going deeper into the eczema space and worrying less about sort of the other things that aren't as important. And, in terms of marketing too, not only are we serving kids and helping them lead a less itchy life, right? Like, it makes me feel really good inside that I can help kids get through a day a little more calmly. I just lost my train of thought. What was I doing? Oh, marketing wise too. Like, it's easier to market because it's a very defined niche, right?
Yeah.
Serving a problem. People are searching for a problem to solve, and we're solving it. And that was a pivotal point too, was not just we were making a high quality product that served our customer base, but we could market to other folks who are searching for it versus in our space, very busy space, lots of people saying natural, there's lots of, products saying natural, but they're not really natural. So it's really hard to break through the noise. And this is just a much easier path, having a defined niche.
Yeah. Yeah. I was looking on the site, anyone can go to Trukid, TRUKID, kid.com, and the funny thing is I'm going to try and bring it up here so I can show it. But I was looking at the ingredients. I was like, I wouldn't try this, but I'm like, I could almost eat this stuff. Like there's like honey in it. There's like actual natural ingredients.
Well, it's funny. So one of our most popular products are our bubble pods, which is the next innovation after our eczema focused product.
Yeah.
We wanted kids to be able to take a bath. The bath is really fun, but kids with eczema can't take baths because everything hurts their skin.
Yeah.
So we create our eczema bubble pod, which is basically a Tide pod that you throw in your bathtub, creates a tub of natural bubbles. You actually can eat that. It's really nasty tasting, but I really don't recommend that you do it. There's our sunscreen.
There you go. There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, cool. Like there's very natural ingredients there. What's interesting is I'm sure you get this, people back then when you're doing the sourcing, what are some of the biggest mistakes people make with sourcing?
In the US or in Asia?
US.
Okay. So, because I'm so comfortable making products in China, it's like second nature to me. And the Asian manufacturers are really, really good at making product, right? The US is hard. And I've always struggled making product in the US because the language is different. It's not Chinese to English, but the manufacturing language is different. For example, when you make things here, like in China, they make everything in one place. They do all the sourcing for you. It's all locked and loaded. Here, the challenge is you have to know where to get your packaging. You have to understand the technology of the production that's here, and you have to buy your labels. It's like 10 times harder to make anything here. And I hate to say it, but that's my experience that I've over my years. Yeah. So the challenge is just learning a brand new way to make things. It's just harder, right? What
about in Asia? What are some of the big mistakes when people are sourcing from Asia?
Gosh, well, I've made every mistake that you could possibly make in Asia. One of the mistakes I think that's easy to make is trusting your vendor is going to make what you want right away. I have a very defined process of how I make things in China and a different process that I do for making things here. And the important part about making things in China is sourcing that you have 3 qualified factories versus just the one. Because especially right now, because it's absolutely chaos. I think making anything, we discovered it too, and I know how to make things really well, and I'm discovering even more challenges than I had even come across in the past.
So you won't do it unless you have 3 factories to do it.
All qualified, all aligned, so I can make it. That's my strategy. Even with that, mistakes happen, right? But make sure if you're making anything in China that you have samples. You've not sampled once, but you sampled, several times, because the consistency has to be there, right? And the communication has to be really good. If they're not emailing back or calling you back, it's a no-go, right? If they just can't communicate in a way that's going to be sustainable for you long-term.
Do you still help people? Do you still get questions from people about sourcing?
I don't do that. I closed that business in 2017 to simply focus on growing the Trukid business. Yeah. I realized it was a real distraction of my time. I do it for friends and I help people. I asked,
for kids, kids, you help with kids?
Sure.
Or no?
Oh yeah, is that what you're asking? And I'm really good at making things here. Now I've learned. I've honed that skill set too. It's harder here. It takes longer. I don't know why that is, but that's the new challenge. It just takes something I could get done literally in 45 days in China, beginning to end, brand new, takes me 6 months here.
So let's talk about HyperGo. So Freddy and Mom, let's talk about launching HyperGo.
Yeah, so this is my business. So I started this back in 2014 when I was 14. And it really stemmed from when I was driving all these 2 hours to a volleyball tournament or a basketball tournament. And I just didn't want to sit in a car for 2 hours on the way home with 8 different guys, just sitting in sweat. It's just a smelly car. And, and I was just starting to get acne. I had this thing. It was I had braces at the time. I was like, Freddie, I can't have acne and braces. I got to get this sweat off my face immediately. And, my mom's always wanted me to have a business. She's an entrepreneur. And I've kind of always wanted to, follow in that step. And so I came to her with this idea. I was like, Mom, what about a wipe, that you can just wipe down and you're basically showered. And she's like, that's a pretty good idea. And so she really just helped me, find factories. And what she said about samples, it is so true. We maybe got 80 different samples because every time, it'd be a little bit different, or this one had too much scent, stuff like that. So really, it took a little bit, but with her expertise, it was, it finally came to a product that we really enjoyed. And so we get reviews all the time, wow, this is so perfect for, I bike to work, but my work doesn't have a shower. HyperGo, wipe down, you're ready to go to work. And during during COVID right now, a lot of people, are on Zoom calls for school or for work. And a lot of people have been telling me that they do workouts in between their Zoom calls. There's no time for a shower, so they just wipe right down and they're ready to get back to work.
That imagine must be popular now with COVID. What kind of properties? I'm sure you got questions of, can I wipe my table down? Can I wipe myself and my surroundings? How does it work as like an antibacterial or that?
Well, we do have like honey, which is a natural antibacterial, but it does not contain alcohol, which is like, the ingredient you need to kill like 99% of viruses. So while this won't kill everything, it's definitely better than having nothing.
What's the best use case for it? So you mentioned someone's biking to work, someone is working out right before a Zoom call. What else do people use it for?
Camping. People love doing these because they're biodegradable. So
okay.
Really good for the environment. It really is just a wipe for everything.
It's interesting. I get carsick a lot. And we were driving to LA for some reason. Of course, I got carsick, had to hop over. And I'm like, can somebody give me a wipe? And of course, everybody was on their phone, so nobody heard me. And, of course, right. But I see over and I see a big pack of wipes. And it never would have dawned on me because like the wet wipes for babies are small. For instance, are really
huge.
big. And it's like, I can tell you it makes every wipe up situation 100% better. And I have a lot of friends that have babies that use our product for a baby wipe because you can use one wipe when they poop all over themselves versus like 10 little baby wipes. It's so fantastic.
Yeah,
size.
You really never know when you're going to need a wipe. It comes in handy in like every situation. And like they're 12 by 12, so we just call it a square foot of clean. Like you'll never know when you need that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So talk about launching it. So you get these 80 samples. You're like, okay, we need the best of the best. You got it. Talk about how you decide how many to order and then launching it.
Well, so that was one of the big reasons why we didn't do, start manufacturing in the US right away is because their MOQs were just way too high. I'm a 14-year-old. I can't order 100,000 pieces. That's just not feasible. And so China was really like the ultimate source because we were able to only order 10,000 to start, to see if this product could actually be launched and, people would like it. And so that's kind of how we settled on it because we just, could not launch that many MOQ pieces.
So you go to sell it. So you decide the MOQ. What do you do to get it out there and to get ordered?
So we listed like right on Amazon, and that's still to this day is really our main sales channel. And that first year, we really didn't run like many marketing campaigns, but it shot off. And that was when we really knew that we had a product that would work. Like we got like almost like 300 reviews, first year. People were it was flying off the shelves. So that was really great to see that.
And also this was his idea completely, right? I had nothing to do with help him execute, right? And I of course, my position was to help him make the best product and find the right source, all those things. But there was nothing about this was my idea. And I said to him just the other day, I said, I can tell you, I wouldn't have had this idea. I wouldn't have. And I'm really glad that you did because now that we see the opportunity in this product category, it's been really fun.
And for, Jennifer, for Trukid, talk about Trukid and, do you go with Amazon strategy, both online strategy? When you launch a new product, where do you put it out to? What's the most successful?
Well, that is so funny because we were just talking about before we get on this podcast how we are melding both our successes, right? So Freddy's success is his online digital strategy and very simple packaging. It's really repeatable, really easy.
Mine started out super e-commerce focused.
And I have been in and out of like brick and mortar retail, in Amazon, in and out of. And so we now have a strategy where we launch on our Shopify site and our Amazon. And our goal is to build the business here. And then we sell it to our distribution partners in other parts of the world, right? So our international distribution is really important that's our strategy, right? We launch online here to get, sort of groundswell and acceptance. And then it goes offshore to our international partners. And
talk about that. The distribution partners. What kind of partners? Are they doctors' offices more or?
No, I haven't. So for my international people, we sell in several countries outside the U.S. and we have exclusive distributors in certain countries, right? So they buy up. We work a year in advance, and we participate in all their marketing. Because like that's our channel. We were talking about earlier, like simple is one of our core values, and simple supply channels, right? More than one. Amazon's a really strong business partner for us, like really, really strong. But I don't believe in having one channel. I like several revenue streams coming in case one has a problem. because Amazon, even though our sales are still strong because we were deemed essential, it could have gone another way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have our Shopify channel, we have our international, we have our Amazon, and we also sell wholesale customers in the US too. But then, our international business is a huge part of our growing business because we're made in the USA, which I feel really, really, proud of that our stuff is made in the US now. It just opens up the world if your stuff is made here. And so I want to make sure we have several channels that are all strong and all functioning at the same time for us to grow and scale our business. And Freddy's business is, was more just on Amazon. And so now he's starting to take the same approach with, a greater revenue streams.
Yeah.
Greater brand awareness. Yeah. Because we just launched on gnc.com. And then we are launching on Jet.com pretty soon. And then we also launched on Sears. So yeah, what she did in the beginning, like all her brick and mortar stores, I'm trying to do that now after I got a bunch of brand awareness from Amazon. And so that's kind of what you talked about, having a multi-channel fulfillment.
So Freddy, talk about your day a little bit. Obviously, well, now it's a little different from COVID, but when you were in school, like in actual school, when do you work on the business?
Well, luckily in college, I only have like 1 or 2 classes a day. So it frees up my schedule a lot. So I was always on the call with like either my social media team or, with our VA, trying to just get stuff done. But in high school, it was a little trickier. That's classroom 8 to 3. So that's how I kind of still have that habit where I really work best from like 10 to 12 p.m. at night, 12 a.m. at night.
That's our peak. Yeah. That's our peak work time is 10 to midnight. I kid you not. I have to be ready, and I start earlier in the day, so I'm building my nighttime stamina so I can work at the same time he's working, and we get so much done between 10 and midnight. I can't tell you.
Talk about the team behind Trukid. What kind of team did you have to put in place?
Well, my team has definitely changed over the years. I mean, it's like I'm definitely pivoting or have pivoted to a digital team. 18 months ago, I got rid of my office, like I said earlier. And I got rid of my people because I wanted to take advantage of like the best people I could hire didn't necessarily live in my town.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to have a digital team because I feel like I could scale the business greater and faster. So that's what we did. So we have, product people and customer service people and, accounting people and all that stuff. And it's just such a better way to run the business now. I've had to change versus other people where I have to be more online and more digitally technology.
I had to teach her Slack a little bit.
A lot.
Takes some getting used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still an email girl. I mean, it's just who I am. So, I'm getting better at technology.
It's hard to break that habit.
Dude, it really is. And what's really hard for me too is paper. Is try to stop using paper. So that's one of my biggest challenges. Like, no, stop printing stuff out, right? So I have a big monitor now. I can look at things, paper, streamline, and set up the Slack and set up. Like we've been very good at creating processes that are repeatable now, right? So that's one of our main core, goals.
What do you use to create processes? Do you use different, certain technology?
Yeah, we start with Loom. We video the process from your desktop, right? Mm-hmm. And then we send it to the RVA or somewhere else to make sure they can repeat the process. Then it gets digitized, so we can have our our lockbox of processes. So that's what I've been challenging him these days because he's our chief digital officer and he's very good. He's very fast technology, and I'm like, but dude, you got to be able to hand it to someone else because you shouldn't be processing orders. And so he's now listening a little to get the process right. Because right now, this is the perfect time because as we grow and scale, we don't want to have to go back and fix these processes or go back and try to do them. Get it done right now.
There's just more important things I have to do with my time than processing orders.
100%. Yeah, I was on with shout out to Cameron Harold. I was talking to the other day. He runs the COO Alliance, and he was talking about how important processes are, SOPs are, and we were discussing he uses Sweet Process. I actually know the founder Owen, so shout out to them at Sweet Process. But yeah, you're exactly right. The SOP in that process makes it so it's repeatable, and so you could hand it to someone else, and then you could focus on a better use of your time than doing something else. Someone also may be better at that thing than we are. So what was a pivotal hire for you, Jennifer? Like you're telling Freddy, Freddy, in like 2 years, like make sure you need to hire this this position. What was a pivotal hire for you as you were growing? It's
going to have to be my production team for me because we we're product focused, right? We're creating brand new product,
Mm-hmm.
and I need the team behind me. So having my head of, product development is really important.
So what does that look like? What do you look for in a product development team?
It's really hard to hire that position because I'm really good at it, and I'm gonna say it out loud. I haven't found anyone who has a greater mastery of product development than I do, because I've been doing it for so long. It is truly my strong suit. It's finding someone that can think like I think and ask the same questions, so I don't have to be doing all the heavy lifting of like, well, did you say that? Did you think about that? Or how many factors did you find? Right. So
that is the toughest thing to do, I think, for any business owner, is the thing that you're best at, giving it to someone else or finding someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's really tough.
Yeah, it's hard. And I'm not an awesome hirer. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I was better at hiring when I had my sourcing business. Like I was like 95% accurate every time I'd hire someone, because for some reason, like that sourcing business was easier than creating brand new products on my own. I can't tell you why the difference is, but it is for me. So I take a little bit longer now to hire, and I screw up a lot.
What were I'm curious, because you have so much stuff coming through your desk, especially when you're doing the sourcing and now with product. What were some of the really interesting ideas that you saw other people come to you with?
Oh,
any weird, interesting ones?
Well, I joke, I've made martial art weapons, soft porn, graphic products. And, the most interesting thing I did was I would do work for a food company, and I had to airship dried herb mix for a dip, like you would add whipped cream to it or whatever, or sour cream to it. I'd ship that to China, pack it out in the whole box, the whole product comes back completely done, right? And one of my factories got raided, and they destroyed all the herb packs because they thought it was drugs.
Oh, yeah, it looks like some kind of cannabis or something.
Looks like something. So, that's not it. So it's like, 'cause that's hard work. That's hard work, right? And I said I would never do it again. I think I did it 2 more times, of course, because I can't stop myself. So that was hard and interesting and curious.
You started off working really long hours, and so what took you on the first part of your entrepreneurial journey?
Like when I first started my business?
Yeah, first started, yeah.
So I worked for an engineering company, and I was 8 months pregnant, and I thought I should probably get a real job. And I worked a ton of hours. I should probably get a job where I worked less hours and be less stressful. Like that was my strategy, right? Mm-hmm. And so I got a job with a toy company, which opened up my whole world. Because my first job was to fly to China and open up production. I'd never done that ever. And it was the thing that changed my life forever, was having this opportunity to hop on a plane on somebody else's behalf and learn a whole new skill set. And in the beginning of my business, I worked a ton of hours. I was on the phone to China every single night, talking to factories and whatnot. And I've learned now to not stress the little things. They'll happen the next day. So now I don't hardly work 8 hours in a day, because I have teams of people that do it. Right.
So with the kids, Freddy as the business, what's the kind of methodology and order? You talked a little bit about it. So first, it's the idea phase. How do you brainstorm that? He came to his idea, but what do you tell your other kids? Like, here's what you should be thinking about before you actually release and come up with your product.
So I have 4 girls and 2 boys, and Freddie's number 3. And my last little guy is a boy, and he and I play baseball catch, right? I used to coach his little league team, and he's 12 now. So we would play catch and we talk ideas. Like the entire time we play catch, we talk ideas, right? And so my strategy with the kids is to just discuss ideas while we're doing something, right? Because that's where ideas come from. Like the other day, Freddie and I were driving around. We had some ideas about something that we wouldn't have had in the office. So, I try to do things like that when we're not, like, a focused conversation about ideas for my kids doesn't work. It has to be some sort of free thing that we're doing, that an idea comes up. Now, what's interesting about my kids is my 4 girls are not that interested in having a business.
Not at all.
The older one is destined to be a CEO someday. I leave her to go. The second one, we're not sure. But my 4th girl, she wants to have a consulting business of some kind. I didn't remind you that's still a business. It still counts. I would say that.
She just wants to make money.
Yeah. No. And then Piper, my number 5, will have a business. We're just going to figure it out. But they're super resistant to it. I'm unsure why. It could be because I'm really forceful about it. Could be. But the boys
it's
are
always when it comes from someone else. They'll listen to a perfect stranger. Right.
Yeah, they do. They do that. That's my whole life. It's like I'm never an expert on anything, but my neighbor can be. It's the same exact stuff. But people come to me a lot. How do you get your kids to start a business? And what I've seen in my house of 6 kids, that they either naturally want to do it or they don't. At one point, I had the 4 girls ready to launch a business together because I look at them as the perfect team, right? Because they all have really different skill sets. So they were the perfect team, right? And we were ready to roll. And the day we were going to do a photo shoot, all this other stuff, I had all the girls there. And I said, something's not right. Because like the older one snapped at the second one said, you might need to feel stupid. You name it, right? It just evolved really, really fast. And
I get it with 2 girls. Trust me. I get that.
Like it goes sideways so horribly fast. And I said, what's going on? I said, what have I done wrong? Right? Why is this not working? And then they realized they don't really want to work together. Like it was too disbanded. But what it was, Jeremy, it was my idea. It was my creation. It was all me, not theirs. And that was really when I had to stop myself because I have so many ideas. It's so easy for me. They didn't want to do it. It wasn't interesting to them. And then Georgia said to me, she goes, instead of starting a company, we should go to therapy. Right? That's so classically her.
going from starting a company to therapy.
Like, and then we were talking later, and I said, Georgia, tell me what didn't work for you. She goes, you just assumed we knew what to do because we've been around you, but you didn't stop and teach us how to do stuff. Like, oh my God. Yeah, so true. I didn't stop and say, here's what profit looks like. Like, I think I talk about these things, but I didn't sit down and teach them like I would teach somebody something to do. And so that was a few years ago. And I've now since backed way off because it can't be about me. It has to be their desires and their dreams and their wants. Right. So I have every confidence and faith in my ability to persuade them at some point through subterfuge that they will do a business of some kind on their terms. And it'll happen. Now, what's nice about Freddy and Rowan, my little guy, like he wants a business and the pet business Trubuddy is his. And we're launching it pretty soon because he loves dogs and he loves the idea. And he loves business. In fact, a couple of years ago, he said to Freddy, I'm going to crush you in sales.
I love it. I love it. And Freddy, what do you think about that?
I like his idea. Honestly, I hope he doesn't overtake me, but it might happen.
So you're going to launch this. This is a pet. Talk about what that is. What are you launching with the pet?
It's a pet cleansing product that's not already out in the marketplace. It's a way to cleanse your pet quickly and easily without having to, keep reaching for the bottle. It comes with a little washing mitt and the whole thing. It's just a streamlined, simple product that makes it really easy and it's sustainable. It's like 4 or 5 ingredients in it. And it's so brilliant. Yeah,
it really revolutionizes pet washing.
It really does. And we're just so excited about it. And we're excited about Rowan doing it too, because he's super excited about it too. He loves being the face of the brand. Like we're doing all this back end work before we launch it. And because I think it's because he's the little one and he's watched it this time, but he also is inclined, right? He's inclined to want to make money. He's inclined to want to do these things. Like he'd bring his computer over, sit next to me, he goes, okay, I'm ready to work. But
he's motivated.
Yeah.
Or like whenever he's outside playing basketball and he comes in, we always joke like, Rowan, you just missed a corporate meeting. He's like, I did? Why didn't you just tell me?
Like get Slack on your phone and you can keep up with me. Like we joke all the time that we charge him $500 for missing the board meeting. Like we're just joking though. But like get your technology right, dude. Like we talk like this, even though we're just really joking. But he's coming along and he has all the technology on his phone now, not to worry, right? So he gets to participate. But we want him to, so then he comes in and sits by us for a while, even though he didn't miss a board meeting. He didn't really miss anything. We were just, making.
He's just trying to make sure he doesn't miss it again.
Yeah.
We honestly need a TV show about it. It's
probably the importance of groups and peer groups. I know you're a big believer in, and you were president of EO San Francisco. So talk about EO and in the effect of EO on your business and what you do.
So EO is an entrepreneur organization. It's a global organization of CEOs, and it's designed have peer-to-peer learning. For example, Jeremy, you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. We have a sort of a language of how we get through the day. And we talk about things. But what I love about EO is that it's a global network of peers that are struggling in the same way I'm struggling. For example, if I have trouble with HR, or I have trouble with production, or I have trouble with something else, or I need someone to help me scale my business, someone in our group has had experience for sure. And I can send emails to folks in other chapters in other countries and other people, parts of the world, and it's just a way to connect in a way that I can't connect with, say, my best friend, who is not an entrepreneur, and she loves me and I love her, but she can't understand the same struggles that I'm struggling with. Where EO, I'm surrounded by people who are living the same life I'm living, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
What's some great advice you've gotten from someone who, because of you, were in EO?
There's just so much. I know Cameron Harold. He is, part of our group, and watching him work with Brian A. Hunter Got Junk has been really inspirational on how to scale a business, right? But recently Mike McCalla is also an entrepreneur, and it was about focus on one thing. And his other thing too recently was his book Profit First. Was entrepreneurs can be really poor because we're always putting money back into the business and not fix this next. Yeah.
I love his books. I talked to him the other day, like you know him, Profit First, Fix This Next. Every single book he's written, The Pumpkin Plan, is fantastic.
Yeah, he's so smart. He's so good. I'm really lucky to have him as my friend. I've been handing out this book like crazy. But the Profit First series book that he wrote really spoke to me, because some entrepreneurs don't take care of themselves financially. We just keep tapping the pool of resources we have and keep putting it back into the business. And he's like, no, you got to pay yourself and get the money out of the company. So you have to do that. And so that, that was probably the most recent bit of really good advice I had gotten. I'm lucky that he's my friend, because we don't pay ourselves well enough all the time. In your talk with James, like hoarding cash, my God, is now the best time to hoard cash. You got to be hoarding cash.
With James Thompson?
Yeah, James. Yeah.
Okay.
This is really important. You gotta have some cash reserves, especially right now. This is scary territory. And if you don't have some cash at hand, and Mike's book Profit First helps that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So James Thompson, buy box experts. I didn't remember that he said that, but now that you say it, he said, make sure you're keeping cash on hand.
It's just really critical. And how we are launching new brands, Freddie and I, there has to be a certain, we must be profitable right away. I don't have tolerance for a long, lengthy, I hope this works kind of a thing, right? It has to be profitable, right? So there's a process that we go through to ensure that we're launching something that, first of all, the profit margin is what we've established, and it can be, because then you can grow your business, because you've got this big runway of profit that you can buy marketing and buy a new product and grow your business in other ways. If it's not profitable, you have to just stop. And so that's part of our process.
It's a risk. I mean, it's a risk. You buy 10,000 units. I mean, it's a comparison, right? Okay, 100,000. Whoa. Okay, let's hold back a little bit. But 10,000 for a lot of people is a lot. So how do you ensure when you put that order in for 10,000 that you're going to, because you're bootstrapping it, right? It's not like there's like a VC out, funding this thing. How do you ensure, anyone's going to be nervous regardless, but how do you ensure you're ordering these 10,000 that before you get them, what are you doing to make sure, okay, I don't want these stockpiling in my garage?
Well, luckily I had my angel investor right here. But, before the product arrived, it takes a little bit for it to come to China.
Yeah, but your angel investor, Freddie, is I wouldn't want to, I would take her seriously, you knew, she's like, you better get these flying off the shelves. I don't care. Right. So,
luckily we had time before the product was coming. It's we got all our product photography done, and we had our Amazon listings optimized as best they could. And we really were I had all my friends go and buy it on Amazon so we could start getting reviews. And that's really a big part of it, is no one's going to buy a product with no reviews. And so I feel like that was really the start of it. I had all my friends try out my product. I was like, please, I'll send you guys a code, just go on Amazon and buy it. And that's how we kind of just started building up. Once then more people, word spreads. It really was a lot of word of mouth or word of Amazon search, but it really just started spreading from there.
But we did hope, like the goal was that we'd be able to unload 10,000 pieces in a year, right? That was hoping. A lot, dude. It was a risk, right? It was a category I wasn't familiar with. And like, I felt based on our research that we could, if it failed, we could sell it, right? We could and get rid of it. I felt confident that no matter what, we wouldn't, maybe we broke even, but we wouldn't get hurt.
And at the time we launched it, like there was very little competition in like the, workout wipe space. There's like really nothing. So we were hoping that since we picked such a niche that, a lot of people need the wipe, but just there was no one to offer them that product, we're really hoping that this would, set off.
Jennifer, what is, any of you have any recommendations on other groups they should look at or books they should look at for business leaders or entrepreneurs? I know EO is one. Are there any other books or groups that you recommend people check out?
Well, I'm always looking for new groups because, I for sure belong to a group, right? Freddie and I both belong to 10X, which is an online Slack channel for entrepreneurs, which, has lots of different categories and lots of different expertise. I kind of like that.
Who runs that? Is that like more because you knew someone in the group, or can anyone who's an entrepreneur join that?
I think it might be gated also.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've heard of it. I think it is gated.
I believe it is gated, right? That's probably all. There's, what was it?
Gathering of Titans, whatever.
Oh yeah, but that's part of EO. Let me see.
Any other books that you're like tell your kids to listen to or read that would be helpful from a business standpoint or entrepreneur standpoint?
Well, you know what? I'm a big fan of the 4-hour work week. Because I realize that I'm really productive, like I said, between 10 and midnight. So if I can get all my work done then, which is not exactly true, I'm going to get it done. So my kids all haven't read it. Like they resist things. I can't really write other than Mike's books. I read all Mike's books because they're easy to read and they're interesting and they're informative.
Mike, what have you found? Like if you're talking to another person who's your age or maybe in high school and you're like, listen, you should check out this resource, or I found this helpful from your standpoint.
Well, I think my generation's like less used to reading like really long things. So I'm just always Google searching. Like that's how I'm always finding new stuff. It's just like, that's how I find new marketing stuff, new ways to like optimize our listings. I'm always just searching for new things. So I can't think of like one specific. I don't
know if there was like a YouTube channel. You're like, oh, I always check this person's show out.
I was like, you can't stop at the first Google search. Like I'm going to, like page 2, 3, most people don't usually do that because everything you want is on the first page, but you can really find some like useful stuff. You just keep going. Cause like maybe they're just not as like ready for.
I want to highlight that for a second. That's a really smart piece of advice, Freddie. Like when I'm doing research on a guest and I talk about them, like, Jeremy, how do you know that? And I'm like, I went to the second page of Google. Like it's literally,
how many people do it?
I just dug a little bit deeper than everyone else, maybe the second, third page. And like, how did you find that? I mean, when you go past the first page of Google, whatever you're researching, it could be a business, it could be just you want to research a company. You go to the second page of Google, like most people haven't gotten past the first search result, right? So that's I just want to hone in that. A really smart, it seems simple, but it's simple is not necessarily easy, and it's not what people do, right? So,
Jeremy, I want to point out something that Freddie just said too, right? So, like, he resists learning the way I learn, and I have to respect that. Like, I'll read or I'll listen and I'll watch things, and I have to drag him to a podcast to listen. Because they don't have the patience, right? It has to be really short snippets. So what
like TikTok.
No joke. We should do this whole podcast on TikTok, right? It'd be over in 30 seconds or less. Seriously, that's where he finds all of his knowledge and he sends it to me, and then I send him articles, which he scans. And then like let's watch this thing. He's like, I don't want to watch it, right? Which is why this works really well, because I'm going to be reading things. He's looking at things that last 15 seconds, and somehow that works.
We both bring like really different perspectives on like issues.
Yeah, I don't ever see Freddie reading a business book. Not ever, actually. If there was a Cliff Notes, maybe he'd take a look at it. But that generation, and it could be just him. It's not interesting to them. They will find the information in other ways.
Freddie, what software or technology are you trying to force your mom to use that you think is essential that she has not listened to yet on using?
Well, I really like Asana. It's like a
Oh, big user of Asana. Totally.
Yeah. So like I was going through, like there's like Monday and all this stuff. I was like, I don't really want to pay for this. And Asana is like free for, smaller teams. So like we originally were using Trello, my mom had a little bit trouble using that. So I was like, let's just try Asana. And I haven't fully gotten her there yet, but it's how I keep so when we were like, designing new products, like we always do a lot of like give and take. She's like, I want this logo. I'm like, fine, I'll give it to you because I'm going to fight you on something else later down the line. I'm always tracking that in Asana. So if she ever says like, no, I gave you this logo or like this design aspect or, this choice, I'm like, no, I have this written down. But like also I just use it to like, track my like social media team. That's how I'm always, sending them, I'm writing down like new ideas for like social media posts, stuff like that. It's just like a great tool to track all of my work.
Yeah.
+1 on Asana. What else? Anything else that she should be using? Totally. I'll second that 100%, Jennifer. I'll totally back that up and happy to pull up our Asana board. We use it religiously. So yeah.
I know I need to do it. It's just part of one of the things
This isn't like an intervention or anything, but but we'll make it into one.
You should intervene for sure because I do resist. I resist. That's like straight up.
What else, Freddie? What other technology or things? So we talked about Slack, Asana. What are other critical software that you're seeing?
For social media, like Sprout Social.
Mm-hmm. They're out of Chicago, by the way. Yeah, Sprout
really?
Social.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I haven't transferred. We always use like my.
Why Sprout Social as opposed to one of the other ones? There's a lot of them out there. There's Buffer. I've had the founders of Buffer on, Meet Edgar on.
What my social media team told me was that a lot of those Instagram like repostable things or like schedulers are being taken down or something like that because they're not following the strict Instagram guidelines because Instagram is choosing to.
So specifically for Instagram. So like the Meet Edgar or the buffers are fine for Facebook and LinkedIn or whatever, but you find Sprout Social is better for Instagram.
Yeah, because I was told that it's the one that follows Instagram's guidelines so closely, so I know that it'll be here because a lot of them have been taken down apparently because Amazon wants you to be like posting by yourself and not having a machine do it, but that's just not feasible for businesses. And Sprout, we get insights into like the best hashtags. It's just I don't know, they kind of showed me that this is the tool they like, and I've just I've grown accustomed to using it, and so that's just
Yeah, I mean, there's Hootsuite, there's Meet Edgar, there's Buff, there's so many out there.
Yeah, we used to use Hootsuite, and that was prior to post for me, and so that's that's when we switched over to Sprout, and we've just been using that ever since.
Okay, and you like it?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Anything else? Well, yeah, go ahead.
Well, we haven't mentioned Upwork. You're familiar with Upwork, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We love Upwork.
We love Upwork because, and this is part of our digital team, right? We may need a one-off something, rather we might need some renderings, and Freddie's gotten really good at creating posts that garner like the best talent now. I kind of suck at it, but he's much better. And that's we always have a post on Upwork for something or another. It strengthens our abilities to get work done faster, and and I love that. And hats off to Freddie for forcing me into the new technological age.
Yeah,
I want to be a front runner in technology because I want to spend less time running my business and have it sort of run on the background while I do what I'm good at, which is creating stuff. I don't want to be the stuff. And if technology can make that better for me, I'm jumping in with both feet, although with resistance.
So I have two last questions. First of all, thank you. This has been tremendously valuable. Before I ask those questions, I'm going to point people to your sites, which is hypergo.com for Freddy's full body wipes. Like I'm just going to get one. Boom. Like you're good. And then go to trukid.com, trukid.com. I always ask this because it's Inspired Insider. What's been a low moment, a challenge moment that you had to push through in the business? And then what has been a proud moment? And so I'll have you each. Freddie, why don't you go first? What's been a challenge moment for you that you really, I don't know, like at a point like, should I even do this anymore? Like where was a challenge moment and then a proud moment?
Well, like that, I would say, so my mom has always been like, pushing me to be, face of my brand. And so she'd always like, I spoke at this Harvard business event It was like a business group in the city. And I was like, I was super anxious. It was like when I was like 15 or 16, I did not want to do it. And so like, I was fighting for like with her up to weeks before, because I just did not want to get on a stage in front of all those people.
Most people don't.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
I was just afraid of like, being in front of all those people, but she like forced me to get through it, which kind of helped know that self-promotion is like a really important part of your brand. Entrepreneurs have their own brand when they're like building their companies. And I was just always scared to be like, put myself out there. But once I did that, that was like a low moment, because I was not happy those weeks prior. I did not want to do it, but I'm glad I did, because it kind of got me out of my comfort zone to be able to, it's a cool story. I was like a 14-year-old entrepreneur. Like, that's a story that should be shared. And I was too scared to do it, but I'm glad that I got put out of my comfort zone to do that. So that would definitely be a low moment. And then like one of the best ones, like I always used to like go on Amazon and like see where everyone was ordering from. And once we hit the 50th state mark that we had sold to someone in every single state, I was like so ecstatic. I don't go look at now, because now we're way past that, but that was definitely a high moment, because I was like, that's so cool. Every single state has someone ordering our product. Like, that's how we know like we're really getting out there.
That's awesome. Thank you. Jennifer, what were you going to say?
I had no idea that he was tracking that metric.
What about you? What was a big challenge, a moment, low point in the journey, and then on the flip side?
Well, I tell you, we had an Amazon struggle, because we, when we had been selling to Amazon Vendor Central, which seemed like a really, really good idea, and rolled back over to FBA. And that was a year of pain, because getting out of that is really hard, because they buy so much, which is good on one hand. On the other hand, it took me a year to get all my listings back. So that was really hard work. And thankfully, we've had it back for a while. So, now we're seeing terrific success. And, a really proud moment, and I actually might even cry right now, is Freddy's been home from school because of COVID, so he has to be here. His office is behind me, right? And so we've been working together. And then he decided that we need to build this media company together. So we're building a new company, incorporating all of our brands. And he chose me as his partner. And I'm going to cry probably. And we defined our roles. He's a chief digital officer. I'm the CEO, which he tries to always take from me every single day. But that moment of let's work together, I can't tell you how proud it makes me that he wants to work with me, of all people.
That is amazing. What is the media company?
So like what we're launching
it's more of a catch-all.
Yeah, it's more of like a big umbrella of all of our new brands that we're launching, and like we like to call it approachable wellness. And so we're creating affordable and simple products that are accessible to everyone, instead of because the wellness space is usually there's like $100 serums, and that's just not that's not feasible for like everyone. And so we want to make products that are really innovative, yet they're open to everyone. Yeah, and that's kind of our next step.
Well, thank you for letting me partake in this mother-son session. I totally appreciate both of you. Everyone should check out hypergo.com, trukid.com. Check them out. And thank you both for sharing the story.
Jeremy, it was so fun to talk to you. Thank you for letting us on and, waste your time like this for an hour.
Not at all. Now the catch is to make sure all Freddy's friends watch more than 3 minutes of this.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like $100 grand.